Alright, so I have a tournament tonight. Today is Saturday, and I have a tournament tonight from 8 p.m. till 4 a.m. It's the last night tournament of the year. Now, the last one we had was 2 weeks ago. Couldn't really film it because it's nighttime, and I got the top non-boater win for that tournament, and I didn't get a single one after it got dark. A lot of the guys the same way. I got 3 bites in my first 3 casts on a chatterbait. One of them came off the boat. It was my biggest one. It was probably about a 4-pound smallie. And the other 2 were probably about 2 pounds. The other one was about 3 because I finished with 5.5 pounds, maybe 6 pounds. No, yeah, 5 pounds. Yeah, 5 pounds for 2 fish, which sucked. I wish I could have had 5, but it's just a tough night. Tough night. So, we're going to do a little tournament prep video about how I get ready for a tournament. And I have a new tournament bag I'm going to try to use. So I'm going to go over how I organize, how I get ready, what I bring, what I don't bring. And hopefully you can learn something from it. So, let's get started. Pull my truck up because it makes it easier to work on everything. So, let's do it. Alright, well, my bed's a little bit of a mess, but that's alright. Sorry if there's any noise, the neighbors have an AC unit on. So we're going to start with just organizing my tackle into this bag. Hopefully. And seeing how well that works. See if it fits. Hoping it fits. So the reason I take a bag into someone else's boat since I'm a non-boater is if I bring my giant tackle box, that's a tripping hazard. If you want something you can just pick up and it's soft shell, you're not going to trip over as easily. So as you can see, we've already got a slight problem. I've got 4 of these, like, hard plastic cases I have to fit in this bag with all my stuff in it, because one's terminal tackle, one's jigs, one's topwater, and one's moving baits. And my soft plastic container takes up most of the space. So, I'm going to show you a good little effective tip that works when you don't have that much space. First, we need some sandwich bags. Hey, Hut. So here at my girlfriend's, they don't have any big Ziploc freezer bags apparently, so I found these little like freezer bags, or sandwich bags, or meat bags, whatever you want to call them. And those should do the trick. But I'll find out. Alright, so for this what you're going to need is some bags and a Sharpie. And what I'm doing basically for my soft plastics is on the bag, like I'm going to make this my Dropshot bag. So I'm going to write Dropshot baits. So I wrote Dropshot on it. Now we're going to take this out. Alright, so these flat tail live magic shads, I use those on a Dropshot. They work pretty good because it flutters just right. Because when it comes to the magic shads, you want to use the boot tail ones for swim baits, I've found. Otherwise, these ones, the flat tail ones, you got to swim them too fast to make them really get good action. So those are going in the Dropshot bag. Now these are by far my favorite drop shot baits. The KVD Perfect Plastics Dream Shot and the KVD Magic Color. I'll use the little one or I'll use the 5-inch one. I do like the 5-inch one though. A little bigger of presentation. Alright, now my drop shot bag is done. I can set that to the side. Doesn't matter if you can't read it because I can. Now I'm mainly bringing darker colors with me because darker colors are going to show up better at nighttime underwater, and I want something with a bigger presentation. So if I'm going to be flipping, I grabbed like the Skeet Reek Pit Boss and June Bug because that's big and it has a lot of antennas on it. I also grabbed some Brush Hogs, same exact idea. Some baits and Senkos. Now, I'm going to put the Senkos in there too, but quick tip. If any of your soft plastics are ever done or you don't think they're going to work much anymore, don't get rid of them. Go buy some Mendit and put some Mendit on there and it'll make them brand new. Because Senkos can get expensive if you're constantly buying them, so buy some Mendit. Senkos starts to show that it's getting a lot weaker. Put some Mendit in it. And then you'll have another couple fish to get out of that Senko. Now just let them sit and dry for about 5 minutes and put them back in the bag. And you have brand new Senkos and baits to use. See that one? That one has a hole almost straight through it. And this stuff will close it right up. I suggest it. It saves you a lot of money. Alright, I'm going to let these dry. I'm going to get a drink, and then I'm going to come back, and we're going to put everything back in the bag, and then we'll start tying things onto my poles. So, let's get to that. So there's a lot of things I think about when going into a tournament. What am I going to need? What kind of cover is there? What should I tie on to get my poles ready? And it really just varies on what lake it is, and I've never fished this lake before. But Brian, Rachel's father, he did a tournament here with one of his friends 3 weeks ago now, I believe. And he said that the grass, the milfoil, was way up in the lake. And he said that he was killing them during the damn chatterbaits. He said he must have caught 60, 70 bass just in the course of the tournament, all on the chatterbait. So I happened to be all out of chatterbaits. I lost one in the last night tournament. I lost another one the other day to a pickerel. And I lost one to a tree branch a couple months ago. So, underwater tree branch, I didn't cast it into a tree. So, I kind of needed to get another one. So I went to Walmart last night on my way over here. And I picked one up. The only problem was, I always use the Z-Man chatterbaits. I swear by the Z-Man chatterbaits. But, Walmart was all out of the black and blue ones. This is what I needed for nighttime. Well, they had them, but they had the tiny one. They didn't have the 3/8 ounce. So they did happen to have the Strike King Rage Blade in the 3/8 ounce, and it's black and blue. And I've never used a Rage Blade by Strike King before. I've only ever used chatterbaits. I'm kind of like stuck with them. I like them a lot. So to switch it over and to try the Rage Blade is give me a whole. I'm a little nervous. I'll admit I'm nervous. Because usually for a tournament, I'm really confident in my baits I'm throwing. And I've never fished this, so I don't have any confidence in it. I have a lot of confidence in a Z-Man chatterbait. So, I'm going to show you the trailer that I usually put on a chatterbait. Because that's what I'm going to put on. Now, sticking with the Z-Man, I usually use the Razor Shads as a trailer, or I use a Missile Baits D-Bomb, depending on the bulk. And I might once it gets dark out, put the D-bomb on because it has more appendages and the bass will be able to key in on it easier in the water. But for now, I'm just going to use the razor shafts. And it doesn't look bad. Looks just like a normal Z-Man chatterbait except for this big thing they got up there and that little ball head there. But as long as I can get it just above the weeds, it'll work out. But let's put this stuff back in my bag. See how it all fits now. So there you go. Now before, I wasn't able to fit any of this in here. I was only able to fit basically that big soft plastic container I have. But now I'm able to fit all 4 of my plastic boxes I take with me and 3 bags of soft plastics. So it's a good little tip. If you do tournaments and you need to save space in the boat, it's not a bad idea. Or just get a bigger bag. But I got this bag for free from NRA. It actually says NRA on it, so that's kind of cool. There it is. So I wanted to use this. Plus the bag I was using before was Brian's bag, and I kind of can't be using Brian's bag every single time because he kind of needs it for other things. So I have my own now. It works out. I still have 3 more pockets I can put stuff in if I need to. So it's cool. All right, let's continue with tying stuff on. So this is my medium heavy rod. This is what I throw most of my crankbaits on, and what I throw most of my chatterbaits on. A lot of my moving baits I throw on this rod. And I need to get a new one. I've had this rod for like 3 years, and it was my workhorse for a long time. So she's seen better days, the reel has seen better days. And it's an Abu Garcia reel. Usually I use Luz, but I figured I'd try Abu Garcia. And it worked for a long time, but now it's starting to have problems, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite me in a tournament. Now I'm running this on 20-pound P-line. Usually I use 12-pound, but it's gonna be nighttime and there's gonna be smallmouth, and I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of rocks or a lot of vegetation that I gotta pull them out of. So I'm going with something a little heavier. Plus it's gonna be nighttime. They're not gonna be able to see it. If I wanted to, I could use straight braid at nighttime. But I don't feel like putting braid in this rod because we're gonna be fishing for an hour of light. So I don't want to miss out on fishing an hour for light like last time, when the only fish I had were when it was still light out. So let's see what happens. So chatterbait's all ready to go. Rage blade, whatever you want to call it. Put that to the side. Next, we're gonna have to go with some top water. I had a frog tied on. I might leave the frog on when we just start the night for top water, but I kind of want to put on something that puts out a little more noise. That way I don't gotta retie as much. So let's go into the top water box. And the question now is, do I go with the little whopper plopper to start? Little 90 size. Or do I go with the big 130? Good question. Once it gets dark out, I'll probably go with the 130 because it's a bigger presentation. But just to start out the night, I'm going to start with the 90. When it's still light out. At nighttime, they're going to need more sound to key in on once it gets dark. So then I'll go to the 130. But I'm going to start out with just the 90 size in the black. Now usually I'd use a perch color one, but I'm going to use the black. It's going to be getting dark. Now if we end up getting into a lot of weeds at nighttime, I'll be tying a frog right back on, believe me on that. And this is actually Ish's Fat Frog in the chronic color, I believe. It's a good frog. In the last video I got a pretty decent one on it. Not a bad one. My last video being the hundreds of bass in a tiny pond in my first cast of the day. And I got a good one, so I can't complain. You're thinking, it's a night tournament. Why don't you tie a spinnerbait on? Because spinnerbaits are usually really good for night tournaments, so are chatterbaits, but I am bringing a bunch of spinnerbaits, but I wanted to start off with chatterbaits to see how that goes. Anyways, there's a Whop Plopper 90, and I paired that up on my flipping stick, which is also my top water rod that I use. It works out pretty good. It's a 7.6 heavy action, and I have that paired up with a Lose Laser Pro speed spool with 7.3 to 1 gear ratio. So I can get them in quicker, I can control it a lot better, especially if I'm throwing a frog. I want to get that bass in as quickly as possible. I don't play with the fight with a frog fish, I just don't. So, that to the side now too. Now finally, well, I have one more rod I'm going to set up, but for this one, I'm going to be putting a drop shot on here, because drop shots are key for me. I love using a drop shot. I use them as much as I possibly can when I can, and night fishing is no different, except once it gets dark, I'm going to switch to something with a lot more appendages, like I said. And again, so they can key on it, in on it, get something bigger. I'm going to start off putting the KVD Dream Shot on it, and the KVD Magic Color. If I'm not hitting that when it's still light out, I'm going to put the Kitech Swing Impact Fat on it, the little one. So the drop shot is all ready. I have my KVD Dream Shot all set up. And I start off with a longer leader, probably a little over a foot. Just to start. If I need to, I can make it shorter. But we're all set to go. I have it on 6-pound test P-line, and then I have it on a medium heavy medium drop shot rod with a 5.2 to 1 gear ratio. Reel. Just kind of like your standard little drop shot setup. Here's a tip: wrap your drop shot weight around the pole, and it won't get as tangled up. And that one's all ready to go as well. So I have my top water, I have my chatterbait, and now I'm going to put a Ned rig on my last pole. Now one of the last setups I'm doing is a Ned rig, and I have my little Shrooms Ned rig head, and I have a Z-Man Elastec Zinker. Now what I do is I cut it in half, usually a little less than half. Cut it. I'll throw it on. Now I have a little trick to doing this that keeps it on better, because that little keeper they have only works so well. Alright, so I have my Ned rig on now. It's all good to go. Now a little trick that I do to keep it on better, make it last longer, is I take a little bit of braid, and I use braid because braid doesn't cut through the Ned rig like a fluorocarbon will, or mono. And I find where that little keeper is. It's right there. And I take a little bit of braid, and I'm actually going to tie and cinch down on the knot. Well, not on the knot, on where the keeper is. And this will keep the zinker from pulling off, and it'll hold it in place if the fish grabs it. Now what I do is I just trim it. And now my Ned rig is good to go, and it's not going to come off as easily. It's a good little trick if you ever want to try it, if you ever use Ned rigs a lot. But see, if you start to pull it, it'll actually stop at where that little keeper is. That's what you want. So, there you go, Ned rig's last setup. So one other little thing I forgot is I take all my little Bass Dynasty scents to just help at nighttime, and I put those in my bag too. So now I'm officially all good to go. So now they're all good to go. All I gotta do is put all my stuff into Brian's truck, and we're all good to go. Turn my bags all good. Now Brian has his own boat, so he gets to bring a ton of poles, which I can't do. Alright, so we are officially good to go for the tournament. Now it's time to wait till nighttime. And then we get to drive up to the Mayapack and fish. I might make a small video out of that, we'll see. Until then, I'll catch you guys later. And I hope that you got something out of this video. Whether you learned what it's like to prep for a tournament a little bit, or just some little tips like the little Ned rig tip I told you. So, get out there, fish, have some fun. I'll catch you later.